Hey guys, one of the more interesting concepts of quantum mechanics was the behavior of quantum particles. I'm not sure what that's called or how it's named or what's the phenomenon called. I just know there is one. That's not my field of expertise, so I don't know much about it. But it's really interesting to know that quantum particles, or was it quantum protons? Can protons be quantum? I'm not sure. But they behave in a specific manner, they move in a specific manner, and when a certain object is placed as a barrier in their path, they move in different ways. Of course, particles always react to whatever barriers are in their way. But the interesting part is they react differently when they're being observed, in contrary to when they're not being observed. I think that was really, really interesting about quantum particles and in general how things should be or are already in theory, just like the coin toss. Yeah, all of us from a young age in school we learn about the coin toss. It's a 50-50 probability that you'll either hit heads or tails. There are just two outcomes and you're gonna land on one of those two outcomes. Either it's the heads or tails, and every time you do it there are two outcomes, heads or tails. There's a 50% odds that you are going to either land on either side. But there isn't a single um, recorded or ledgered time where, for example, 100 coin flips are done and you get exactly precisely 50 heads and 50 tails. And there is a theory about this too. It has a name for it. Again, it's not my field of expertise. I'm not very well versed about it. I'm not sure what it's called. But it's really interesting. I think it was. This is one of the branches of probability or chance. One of those, like there are a lot of external factors affecting it and all. But still, even that isn't true. You know, the basic 50-50 doesn't come in play when you're doing it 10 times or 100 times or 50 times. It just doesn't work out. And you know, all of these thoughts, while I'm just mumbling all of these thoughts together in my brain, because uh, it starts opening up such a diverse and unprecedented uh, pathway inside my head. And I start thinking about philosophers. Like we still have very popular philosophers on whom a lot of theories are based and named of, philosophers that have been ridiculed, philosophers that have been worshipped, philosophers that whose ideas have never seen the light of day. But come to think of it, all of this does come down to philosophy. We keep on asking why, how, and what. And philosophy does the same thing. They try to answer these why, hows, and what. And one of my theories is that the entire growth, the entire evolution of human being is, in a way, a branch of philosophy itself. Because every time we evolve, every time we have an invention and an innovation, it is an answer to the why, hows, and what's of somebody who is having a ridiculous idea but does not know if it's a philosophy. Because we philosophize ideas, we think about them, we idolize many things, but we never finalize anything until it's proven and so on. I'm just talking gibberish as usual. I love blabbering, I love just going on a random ramble, and that's what I'm doing. The reason I am talking about this is because philosophy is important. It answers the whys of life. It answers, tries to answer, or attempts to answer the whats of life and hows of life. And this is what my professor, when I was back in med school, I was in my second year, I believe, we had our first philosophy lecture. And the first thing the philosophy lecturer said was, philosophy is the most important subject in medicine. And it was all of us, like around 100 students, the entire batch was there in the lecture hall. And we all were hysterically laughing. We could not grasp the idea. We just thought, okay, he's the lecturer for philosophy subject, so he might be just, blowing up how important philosophy is. None of us took it that serious. And his reply was a very calm, What confident you will know why when the time comes. And as I'm growing older, I start to philosophize about multiple ideas, and I start to think that there could be some truth within what he was saying, and there could be a lot of, you know, understanding that is still left to do about life and world and everything that we have around us and how things work. Because, come to think of it, philosophy does, you know, motivate, and it does build a foundation for us to understand and appreciate life, understand and appreciate medicine, understand and appreciate, it branches into bioethic, it branches into BBB, it branches into surgery in a lot of ways, it branches into internal medicine. I can think of multiple ways where these subjects have one root going down to philosophy. What do you think? I think there might be some truth to philosophy is the most important subject in medicine, because there is a saying in Russian, in German, was passieren muss wird passieren, whatever has to pass will pass. And there is a similar saying in Russian, to что I don't want to misquote it, but whatever happens happens for a reason, right? And in many ways, don't crash, not when I'm talking about philosophy and life. So basically, the quote says, whatever happens happens for a reason, right? And that's what it is. Just like the quantum particles, just like the coin toss, just like bioethics and so on, everything has a reason. And no matter what you do, how you do it, things have a definite way, probably, maybe, hypothetically, have a specific way and manner they will behave and they will react. And no matter what you do, it will occur. So maybe the best thing is to put your best foot forward, to try your best, to make sure you give it 100, and then just sit back and let life do what it does. Let the course of life go on. Let things happen by itself naturally. There is just so many things you can control, just so many things you can plan about, just so many things you can execute properly before things go out of your control. I'm saying that out of a lot of life experience and seeing and talking to a lot of people and trying to understand more. But yeah, give your best foot forward. But if you're just gonna sit back, relax, and do nothing about anything and just hope for results, that's not gonna happen. How would we know about the hypocrites? The let's just go back to the quantum particles. How would we know if there would be nobody observing it? How would we know about the coin tosses if nobody would have tried it? Although we know they have a certain course they're gonna follow, or a chaotic course they are gonna follow.